Let me ask you a question. Do you ever look into your aquarium and wish that your water was just a bit cleaner so you can achieve that look where it looks like your fish are literally swimming through air? Let's face it people, cloudy water can be so annoying to look at and it can be a real pain to deal with. And for some people it might even seem like a never-ending battle. Well, what if I told you that achieving crystal clear water was actually a lot simpler than you might think? For the past 6 years I've battled the murky waters in my aquarium, and today I'm going to reveal all the techniques, all of the equipment and all of the secrets that I've learned over the past 6 years. And yeah, let's just get started. Now this first secret is something so simple, yet it's so incredibly effective, and that is to simply clean your glass. Believe it or not, many people underestimate the huge impact a clean glass has. I mean, for one, you get all of these watermarks on the glass, but the glass also builds up a layer of dust and dirt, and just cleaning that outside of the glass will already have a huge effect. However, you also need to put some focus on the inside of the glass because that's where the algae loves to grow, and even if the algae doesn't look that bad, trust me, actually cleaning that algae away will make such a big difference to your water clarity. Now to clean the outside of the aquarium, I use a simple microfiber towel. I make it wet with some water and then I just wipe it down. And for the inside glass, I either use the algae scraper or the Higger magnet. I've got a link for both of them in my description and they work amazing at removing algae. For the Higger magnet, I should mention I don't use the blade. I don't really trust it. I feel like it will scratch the glass. So with the Higger magnet, I literally just use the magnet, but it's such a strong magnet, it really works. It genuinely takes off pretty much all of the algae, and if there is any tough spots, then I use the algae scraper to take those off. And yeah, maintaining your glass, I highly recommend that because it makes such a huge difference. Now to show you an extreme example, I've let my Fluval Flex grow out of control. Of course it's very unlikely that you are going to let your aquarium get to that point, but I just wanted to demonstrate the difference of having a dirty glass and then cleaning all of that algae away and just seeing how clear it actually is. Like all I've done there is clean the outside with a microfiber cloth and the inside with the algae scraper. Now to give you a bit more of a realistic example, I've also let the algae grow on my Roma 200, but not as bad, and as you can see, the algae isn't that strong, but it does make the water look a little bit dirty. However, once you clean it all off, you will realize that the water is actually crystal clear and it was just a glass all along. Anyway, let's move on to secret number 2, and this one is actually a really important one and something that many beginner fish keepers struggle with, and that is your feeding. Now majority of beginner fish keepers will overfeed their fish, and by the way, don't feel bad about that. I was in that exact same boat. With my first aquarium, I overfed my fish way too much and I really had to learn my lessons there. And yeah, overfeeding your fish can cause a real problem for your water clarity. Uneaten food is a recipe for cloudy water. A good rule to go by is less is best. Remember, your fish are not bottomless pits. Their stomachs are tiny. Only feed them what they can consume within 2 minutes. This will reduce the amount of waste in your water and contribute to keeping your water clean. Now secret number 3 is another straightforward one, and that is do not overcrowd your castle, or just don't overstock your aquarium. Too many fish in a tank create a pollution nightmare. The more fish you have, the more waste they produce. I mean, it's literally like humans. If you go to the city, it's usually a lot dirtier and there's pollution and the air is really heavy to breathe and all of that. However, if you go to the countryside or if you go on a hike up a mountain, you'll get really clean air, you'll have a lot less rubbish and just a lot less pollution. It's just common sense really. If you overstock your aquarium, for one, your fish are going to be very stressed out and they're going to be unhappy, but also they're going to produce a lot of waste and it's going to cloud your water. So yeah, stock your tank responsibly and your water will thank you for it, and your fish of course. Now secret number 4 is consistency is key, or more simply, your maintenance matters. Even with the best practices, dirt will build up. Regular maintenance is crucial. Consistent water changes, filter cleaning and substrate maintenance are essential for long-lasting crystal clear water. That simply put, if you want an extraordinary aquarium, you're gonna have to be extraordinary with your habits. You can't just set up an aquarium and leave it there and hope for the best and expect to see a beautiful aquarium. The maintenance maintenance does matter and it is essential for crystal clear water. Now for secret number 5, it's a very powerful one, and that is upgrading your weapon. And with weapon, of course, I mean your filter. Now here's the thing people, majority of aquariums will come with a filter that is strong enough to keep that aquarium clean. However, it is not always the best option. A prime example would be my Fluval Roma 200. That aquarium came with the U4 internal filter, and even though that filter is a really good filter, it was not strong enough to keep my heavily planted and heavily scaped Fluval Roma crystal clear. That filter would be more suitable for someone who maybe keeps an empty aquarium with just a few fish and maybe 1 or 2 ornaments, which of course there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to have an aquarium like that, by all means do that, but for me personally, I do prefer having plants and hardscape and all of that. And once you start adding all of that into your aquarium, you are going to need a stronger filter, because a stronger filter means a stronger flow, more water gets cleaned constantly, and in overall it just makes such a big difference. Like if you go all the way back to my very first videos on my channel, the water in those videos is just embarrassing. Like my aquariums looked so bad for like the first few videos before I actually upgraded to my canister filter, and I'm telling you, the effect was immediate. I made a whole video on it, so I'll put it up here somewhere. But as soon as I upgraded to a canister filter, that extra flow just cleared up all of these little dead spots and pushed it all up into the water. And of course initially it made the water a little bit cloudy, but because all of that debris was up in the water, it would eventually go into the filter or the filter intake, get cleaned, and then come out clean again. So yeah, if you do have the budget, I would highly recommend to upgrade your filter, because it will make such a big difference for your water clarity. It definitely did for mine. And yeah, I kind of touched on it before, but just be wary of that. Like aquarium companies, when they sell you a full kit with a filter and everything like that, once again, the filter is usually strong enough to deal with that aquarium, but if you do have certain plans like scaping it heavily or having certain fish in there, you may need a stronger filter. Like with my Fluval Roma 240, that came with a 307 canister filter, and to be fair, it's doing a really good job even though I have it heavily scaped and all of that. However, I am still planning to upgrade that filter to a 407 just to get that extra flow and get that extra water cleaned and all of that. And yeah, I was waffling for a while people, but the point is simple: upgrade your filter and you will really see the difference. Now for secret number 6, it's a very straightforward one again, which is banishing the dead zones, also known as the dead spots. Now for anyone who doesn't know, dead spots are areas in your aquarium where the flow doesn't quite reach, maybe because there's a lot of scate before it or whatever, and you will usually get a lot of dirt building up in that area, and it's usually on the other side of the filter. So if you have the filter on this side, then you are most likely going to have dead spots in this area of the aquarium. And yeah, the reason why dead spots are so annoying is because most of the time they're just going to be there stagnant. However, doing things like feeding time, when the fish start going crazy and start swimming about everywhere, they're going to move all of the dead spots about, and it all starts going up into the water, and it will make your water cloudy, and yeah, it can be a real pain to deal with. Now there's a few ways you can avoid having dead spots. One of the most important ones is planning out your scape. So when you're scaping your aquarium, there's nothing wrong with having it heavily scaped, but do keep the flow in mind. So maybe, it's kind of weird to explain, but you kind of want to have a preset path for the water to go. I mean, to give you an extreme example, I don't think anyone would ever do this, but you wouldn't want like a big wall in the middle of your aquarium, because of course then the flow would just stop and anything behind that would have to breathe. So instead of having the wall this way, you would kind of want it this way so the water can kind of flow on either side, you know, like that. Yeah, I hope that makes sense people. Like when you scape in your aquarium, have the flow in mind, so there is some kind of circular flow that the water can follow, and hopefully that should reach all of the spots in the aquarium. Now let's say you did scape your aquarium, it looks really cool, you don't want to change it, however you did end up with some dead spots. Don't worry, there's a few things you can do there as well, because that's what happened to me. I made a video on it, I'll put it up here somewhere, but the way I chose to tackle it is I bought some bottom dwellers. Now bottom dwellers are amazing because they obviously go around the bottom all day, and if you get something like corridors for example, who literally shift through the substrate all day, they're pretty much going to clear up all of the dead spots all of the time. Now in my Roma 240 I actually decided to get loaches, because the corridors with their spine and venom, I didn't really want to risk it with my moray eel, but loaches seem to be doing the same trick. in my aquarium, the loaches, they swim through the dead spots every day now. They bring that dirt into the water and it gets cleaned out. And yeah, adding bottom dwellers can be a really effective way of eliminating dead spots. Now, one last thing that you can do to eliminate dead spots is get a wave maker. And remember how I mentioned that if your filter's on this side, you're most likely going to have all of the dead spots on the other side. You would want to put your wave maker on that side to create a new flow that goes this way. And once again, that way you should be able to eliminate all of the dead spots. By the way, if you are enjoying this video, please consider subscribing. It really helps me out. Alright, and now it's time for secret number 7, which is advanced modifications to your filter. If a simple upgrade wasn't enough, you can actually customize the filter media. Now, it's a little bit complicated and there is a lot to talk about, so instead of going through it all in this video, I've actually made a separate video. I'll put it up here somewhere if you want to check it out, where I talk you through step by step on how to upgrade your canister filter, the Fluval 307 to be exact. So yeah, I would recommend watching that video after you've watched this one if you do want to modify your filter, because it genuinely makes a big difference. But the main thing about the filter modification is using filter floss. And oh, people, filter floss is amazing. It catches everything. Like, the effect was immediate, I'm telling you. Like, my water got so clear within a few hours. It was crazy, people. Now, I should mention that the filter floss does get dirty really quickly as well, because of course it's so fine, it catches it all. So it will increase your filter maintenance. Like, I change my filter floss about every month or 2 months, and that's me literally taking it out and putting in new floss. Compared to with the actual sponges, you can probably go a few years before you would have to actually replace them, because you can just keep cleaning them whilst you're cleaning the filter. So yeah, just keep that in mind. If you are going to use filter floss, it's more of a consumable. You use it, and then once it's gone dirty, you kind of chuck it out and use fresh filter floss. And yeah, people, if you combine modifying your filter with everything else on this list, I can pretty much guarantee that you will have crystal clear water. Now, like I mentioned before, I've already made a video on how to modify your canister filter, and if you want to watch that, then click right here.